What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Porterway Podcast. Showtime Shawn Porter. We got Carson A. Merck and Shawn Zittel. What up, y'all?
You want to do a disclaimer just right off rip on what you're going to be doing to the listeners throughout this show?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I should probably do that, huh? All right, so here's the thing. We're busting out the podcast room that we started this whole thing in. My wife and I, she says, let's just do it ourselves. I'm like, I don't want, let's buy it and do. She like, no, let's do it ourselves. So we have been in a marriage counseling group. And because of that, I think that's kind of was like, all right, use some of the things, some of the tactics that you've learned from marriage counseling and being with the group and things like that. So one of the things actually on a small list of things to do is do something with your spouse that you've never done together before. So construction. And so we go out, we pick out the marble, all that kind of stuff. The long story short, we pull up the rug. I told that was the first thing I said had to go. I said, I hate the rug in there. We got to pull it up. We pulled up the rug, not that bad underneath. And, broomed it and everything. No biggie. And no biggie the whole time. We did everything that we had to do. But a few hours later, the fights come on. I'm chilling. Then out of nowhere, I start sneezing. I'm chilling just like I was at your house the other day. Chilling. Then out of nowhere, I started coughing and eyes got red, all that. And I started hiccuping. Like after the coughing started, I started to hiccup. Maybe this coffee by Starbucks, not an official sponsor just yet. Maybe that's doing something for me right now. But I'm an optimistic person. So here's the thing. I don't think I'm going to hold on to it that these hiccups are not going to come back. But the disclaimer is that I have been hiccuping almost 24 hours since the main event started. And it's been, it went from being scary to being just like, all right, this is what's going on. I just flew on like a 4.5 hour flight. And I swear to God, I hiccuped the entire way. Fell asleep momentarily. When I woke up, I hiccuped again. So we may or may not get a bunch of that. If we don't, we can contribute that to Starbucks.
If you hear it,
official sponsor yet.
If you hear it, you know it's SP. So don't be trying to deflect blame or anything. It's that guy that's hiccuping. But I'm doing good.
Always, he's rising to the occasion though to start.
Yeah,
he's went on and there's no hiccup yet.
Yeah, powering through the hiccups.
Yeah, powering through the hiccups, through the travel and all that kind of stuff, just to make you viewers happy.
Yeah, they're the most important person.
And I know everybody's missing. Is it wrong to call him Big Black? I've settled on Big Black.
My initial thought is just always Ant the Dog.
Yeah, Ant the Dog.
Ant Darrell, but Ant is back home in Louisiana.
Yeah, in the mud. What up, everybody in the mud? Y'all know what that's about.
Yeah, usually I got him and you, Carson, and Shawn to lean on. So, I'm hoping I keep the tripod standing as tall.
Hey, listen, Shawn and I, we had a conversation at length the other day, and Carson, I don't think you've even ever tried to call me, so no biggie. The worst things could happen in the world, and you're not calling me, so I love you for that.
Yeah. You're at his house. He gets his fill.
But I'm sure Ant could attest that when I call Shawn, it's a 2-minute conversation. I'm straight to the point because he don't like to be on the phone. But my boy Shawn called the other day, and we ended up vibing on the phone for a good 20 minutes or something like that. So much so that when we got off the phone, I was like, dang, I was on the phone with Shawn for a minute.
Felt like a whole podcast episode.
Yeah, don't do that. You know what I mean? But Shawn expressed, he said, hey, man, I was just calling, number one, to make sure it was okay for me to be on the podcast this week. I was like, no, I mean, you called off last week. We knew you were back on this week. He said, yeah, well, I don't intend on missing too many more shows. So for anybody out there wondering, Shawn Zittel of the Boxing Voices is he FightHype?
Yes, sir.
Damn, every time I'm
shout out to Boxing Voice, shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the Boxing Voice.
Yeah, Nestor, my man Nestor. Yep.
Yeah, that you were way off. Usually it's the Fight Hub or something. Shout out to them as well.
Hype.
Yeah, Boxing Hype was mixed in there. Shout out to FightHype. Shout out to Ben.
Those hiccups don't come back.
Yeah, shout out to Ben.
And me being on the phone is because of Ben, Carson.
Oh boy, yeah.
Ben re-taught me the art of good phone
calls.
I think that's a Generation X.
Oh, okay.
Like a Generation X.
Hey, because it flowed better than most conversations with my wife on the phone. So
it's like, Shawn, you're a Seinfeld fan. It's like when George had the talking points when he had to call his parents every week, where he's like, you have to admit.
That's me.
Yeah,
that's
he's
me.
like, you have to admit something you're wrong about, that they were right about. Like, he had all the topics. But,
yeah. That's me all day and all night. I got a whole list of things I want to talk about. And then when I'm done, it's silence until somebody knows how to say goodbye. But anyway, Shawn said, I don't want to miss too many more shows. I said it's all good. So
a lot of boxing to talk about too. Who better? Who better to have than Mr. Fight Hype?
Yeah.
Red hot now the next 3 months. Like,
ain't it?
And there's all kinds of like future matchups. There's like future interesting, caveats that can happen if this happens, and then just straight up fights happening. So
just straight up fights happening.
Yeah, then also there's fights happening. That's cool. So
right.
I like the look of the venue yesterday, Virgin Hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And the main card started off with an upset. That's always a fun little adventure.
Yeah, Kenny Sims was once in Elvis Rodriguez. Well, not quite, not prospect of the year, but he was considered coming out of the amateurs in Chicago as he could be a top flight fighter. So, with Elvis Rodriguez coming off of what was a kind of a lackluster performance, a little surprising that they put him in there with the best guy he's ever fought yet. And I think one thing Kenneth brought to the table that gave Elvis problems was this was the first time Elvis was in the ring with a guy who's as athletically gifted as he was.
Mm-hmm.
So he's fighting a guy that can match him on the outside. And actually, in watching Elvis last night, I better grasp what people in boxing really mean when they say he's looking for one shot. When you hear that, it's like he's just trying to throw one big. No, Elvis kept looking for the right angle over and over again to land that perfect right hook or that perfect left-handed. So now I understood it. Looking for that one shot doesn't always mean they're just looking to load up on one shot. It's
right.
There's a certain look that they got earlier in the fight, and they're begging, they want that look again. Right. And they just keep looking for that one setup over and over again. That's what Elvis did. So
right.
I was going to say, it's like in basketball. Sometimes you're not going to have a perfect shot, but you need to take a shot rather than try to get overpass or over, where sometimes it's not going to be a perfect angle. The defense might be there, but sometimes you got to throw the shot.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I love when we can kind of rewind just a little bit to a previous fight. The one that comes to mind is Canelo and Saunders, where he came out from the rip throwing an uppercut. That was the punch that he was looking for. What Elvis didn't do was throw other combinations of the punches to lead up to or to set up that punch that he was looking for. And another part of that is just being a little more intelligent in the ring, knowing that, hey, I can lead this guy to the punch I want to land, or I can set him up with some feints and things like that, which he didn't do. But just saying that, to your point, Shawn, a lot of times when guys are looking for one punch, it's not always the big blow that's going to knock a guy out. It's sometimes I've studied film. I know this punch is going to land. I just gotta find that timing and the right time to throw it. And that's something that, when you're young, you may grab a hold of something and hold on to that. I've actually heard a lot of coaches lately say, I don't like for my guys to watch film. And the common denominator there is they always feel or have felt, the coaches that I've talked to recently, that when a fighter watches film, they get kind of locked into one thing, or they get locked into what happened in that fight, and they expect that that's how the fight's going to go. So not saying that that's what happened to Elvis. However, a lot of times when you're young, that may not be the best time for you to watch film, because you may see something and say, oh, if I do that, that's what's going to work. I hate when people come to me and tell me, all you got to do is this, all you got to do is that. It's just so much more that you have to do in a fight than all you got to do, And I think there was a lot more that needed to be done. I actually did not know that was the matchup of the night in the first fight. And so I've seen Sims Jr. and I know about him. And so when I looked at this fight, I was like, who did they pick to be the A side and the B side of this fight? Because that one was going to, I think we all expected or thought Elvis would win, but it went the complete opposite way. And again, Shawn, to your point, Sims was just more athletic, very, very poised in the ring and fine-tuned in terms of his boxing ability. And I've seen that out of him before. So I actually wasn't surprised to see him win that fight. However, I think when you consider being in the ring with Elvis Rodriguez, the young and up-and-coming fighter, I think that, we kind of thought it would go the other way, but I wasn't surprised at all at Sims.
And almost a parallel into the co-main with Zepeda and Hank, because Zepeda was supposed to, he's coming off the fight of the year in 2020. And I mean, to describe his performance as lackluster, I think would be kind. I thought the scorecards were wide. I thought Hank probably lost a close fight, but I thought the scorecards were up. But yeah, Zepeda, and they were mentioning it a little bit on the broadcast, Tim, Joe, and Dre, but they were like, it just looked like, I don't know if that fight last year with those knockdowns took something out of him, but he just looked off. Obviously, shout out to Hank. He obviously plays a part in that. Takes two to tango, but he just didn't look good.
And he also got to fight like on 1 week's notice or something like that.
Yeah, a few weeks.
So I mean, it's just funny, man. I think the longer we do this, people are going to understand that this boxing game is just more mental than anything. And there again is another fine example of a guy who is at the top of his game and having a so-so performance, but also having big performances in the past. And then you get a call that, guys pulled out, and then now we got Hank Lundy. All you do is type in Hank Lundy. You see 6 or 7 losses, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's a replacement. But you don't know this dude is from Philly. You don't know that this dude, that even though he may not be able to pull out the fight, he's going to make this a very hard night for you, possibly even an ugly night for you. And he's going to be the one smiling at the end of the night, because not only did he survive, but he really, made you question who you are in the boxing ring.
Yeah. What did you think about the score, Zittel? You think it was on the money or a little off maybe?
I got to be honest. The fight was, I thought Zepeda definitely won. Off his jab alone. That was the only thing that was working for him was that jab.
And was popping Hank's head back a little bit, which is always obviously judging factors.
Right. But since he was, sluggish on the draw, Hank made him a little hesitant to open up, because Hank had some good counterpunching and still has some good hand speed. And Hank, he fought. He had a good defensive fight. He still showed the court. He showed some moves. That right, Shawn. Certain ways making a miss. He put his hands at his side for a minute, make you miss. And
I told Carson through text, I said the reflexes are still there. He's still defensively very responsible and can get out of the way of shots, but his offense is just lacking to the point where I think he's pretty sure that he's around the corner from retirement. And he's a good dude, man. We've had so many conversations actually about that. And I think that he's trying to have, I don't think he's trying to have a storybook ending for boxing, but he's trying to have his storybook ending, which I think will entail fighting back home. It would entail maybe one more big fight or something like that. I think you can see, and we'll spell just another second on this, but you can see in the ring that Hank wants to win. You can see that Hank is still wants to compete. But I think the thing that's lacking for Hank is how do I hit this dude the way I used to hit people? How do I get this dude out of here the way I used to get people out of here? And I think that that's gone from him now. And I think that he's kind of in that gray area now where he still wants to fight, but he knows that everything's not clicking the way he wants it to. And I'm not sure that anyone else can get him there. At one point I did, and my dad talked to him, but I really wanted my dad to train him. I wanted my dad to go to the ring with him and kind of push him in some ways that a lot of other
months.
Yeah.
For what was it, Broner or Thurman?
No, I think we've done like 3 or 4 camps together.
Yeah, he's definitely out here for Broner.
Hank has been is the dude. Hank is the guy that once we get back training, my dad's like, I'm bringing Hank because I know Hank's gonna push you. He ain't gonna overdo nothing, but he's gonna get you exactly where you need to go before you go to DC or before we bring other guys in here that are gonna challenge you even more than he can, So, I mean, Hank and I have had some great times in the ring, and I'm not trying to, dispel him and move him into retirement right now, but I'm just saying that I think that he, for the sake of words, he's definitely on his last leg, and a great last leg to be on because he's still athletic. He's had a tremendous career, Mr. ESPN at one point in time, and it's funny because when I watch him the other day, I'm just like, damn, man, this used to be your network. You know what I mean? Like, I was all over it the other night. I was screaming and everything, you know, so screaming out of frustration too, just so y'all know. I thought that, I think that I gave him like 4 rounds, I think, out of the entire fight, maybe 3, maybe 4 rounds out of the fight. I think 3 rounds out of the fight, but I was screaming the whole way, mostly out of frustration. Yeah,
that's the man.
He's still got enough to go back home to Philly and beat a quality top 20 dude and hang his hat on a good performance on that. He's still got enough if that's what he's looking to do.
I really do think that, because we talked about this the last time he was on. He's always been a talker. He's always had that Philly flash, and he's always had that Philly kind of but that Philly swag, excuse me. And I think that swag would translate for him on TV. I would love to see him do some TV, but I do think that he's got to polish some areas. He won't know it, and they'll put him into it, and hopefully he gets an opportunity for someone to say, hey, try this, try that. I think if he changes a few different things and works on a few different things, I think he could have a very good broadcasting career. Because what he gonna do? He gonna keep it real. You gonna have fun listening to him. Yeah. And he gonna say some outrageous stuff that you like, yo, this dude is crazy, but I think he's right. You know what I mean? So I would love to see him get into some commentating and some TV.
That's my man, 50 grand. So
yeah. What did he do? He did not Rocky. Creed, right? He did the first Creed.
Yeah. Oh, that was the best. Yeah, he's in the background. Yeah, there was like a heavy bag swinging, and you catch like a glimpse of him for a second.
Yeah.
But he holds it down always.
Shout out to Hank Lundy.
Absolutely. Like I said,
for Zepeda though, problem for him last night. And back to the scorecards, I wasn't particularly scoring because the fight was really dull.
Yeah.
The worst time to have a dull fight is right before the main event when everyone was dying to see it.
But, and after you had a fight of the year in 2020, it had 75 knockdowns.
Well, that he failed to capitalize off that momentum because at the end of the night, he's really competing with Terrence Crawford and Teofimo Lopez as who do you want to see tonight's main event fight next? That's what Top Rank's putting them in the co-main for. This is an audition for people to want to see it. Thankfully, in a way, because his audition wasn't good, but Ramirez lost, and Ramirez is going to need a quality guy in the near future to get himself back in the top swing of things. Mm-hmm. I think Top Rank will be happy to rematch him and Zepeda, despite Zepeda not setting the world on fire. So for Zepeda, he may have been a little fortunate, actually, that Ramirez lost, because if Ramirez won, I don't think, people are dying for that rematch. Everything turns into Ramirez against Teofimo or something like that. So, but we'll see. He might get a rematch with Ramirez. And, Steve Kim was next to me last night, and he said he's a hot, cold fighter.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Maybe he's hot.
Seen that before.
Yeah, that moving.
Steve Kim said that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that terminology in a minute.
Yeah, they mentioned that on the broadcast a little bit as well, that he'll have like a highlight-filled, really exciting performance, and then kind of seems to have a little bit of a lull in the next fight. So that makes sense. I can't
think of the last time I've seen that kind of fighter. Like where he's up and down.
Yeah, it was kind of but moving the main event, that was anything but disappointing.
I was slightly disappointed in the very last round. In the very last,
I can't be mad at you for that.
Yeah, I was like, this didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go at the end, But all the way, man, that was a great fight.
Yeah, two guys. I mean, we mentioned it before, but that are right there, and it shows. Even with 2 knockdowns, how close the scorecards were. I will say before we go into giving Josh Taylor a lot of credit, which he deserves. When Ramirez is throwing his hands, he is one of the most fun fighters to watch in boxing.
Yeah.
Like when he is throwing, I was sitting there, I was like, damn, this is fun to watch. Like he'd kind of back Josh up towards the ropes, and all of a sudden he's throwing these punches in. I wasn't getting like SP, but I was like, okay, wait a second. Like, is he gonna knock him out here? And then so that it was a fun matchup. But Yeah.
He's got to throw more.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
But I said it when we first started the show, and people are going to start to see just how much more this thing, or how mental this thing really is. It's funny because a little move of the glove will make you hesitate. A little shake of the shoulders will make you hesitate. A little move of the feet will make you hesitate or make you second guess yourself and things like that. And so while we're saying he's got to throw more, he's exciting when he throws. When he throws, I'm standing up. I get. Yeah. I'm standing up. He really is that kind of fighter. It's just something about the way that he fights when he uses his hands. And I just think that he established his pace in the second round. And I thought we were going to get more of that. And then it was like, there were rounds where he knew, like, there was a sense of urgency. And then there were other rounds where he didn't have that sense of urgency. And then Josh got the upper hand in terms of being able to move. He wants to move the way he wants to move and get into the rhythm that he got into, throughout the fight. And I just think that the deciding factor there was that Jose was either seeing something or not seeing what he wanted to see that wouldn't allow him to just punch. And the interesting thing about that is you can't tell a guy, just punch, just let your hands go. Like, this ain't the amateurs no more. There's always something coming back, or the guy's always moving away and taking the range and distance away. And then the next time you try it, he's right there with the counter. I mean, there's just so many things that can happen. And while this dude, Jose Ramirez, was there practically every single round from beginning to end. And I mean, I gave him a lot of rounds. I think I gave Josh more rounds than Jose, minus the knockdowns. I think that minus the knockdowns, it may have been close to a draw. Josh would have pulled it out by maybe 2 rounds tops. But I think that Jose coming back, I think he'll be just fine. I think he knows what he was in the ring against. I think that this is one he's going to have to take on the chin. And I think that, and I think that moving forward, I think that he should definitely look to rematch Josh Taylor. I don't think Josh did anything that really exposed Jose Ramirez or showed that Jose was any less than everything we thought he was. This was really good against really good, and the really good ended up being really, really good just last night.
Oh, I'm getting a little lag. Okay, good.
I was like, dang, I'm going to let Zittel jump in and cook for a second. He's just like,
I'm going to pray for his Wi-Fi from now on.
But to be fair to Josh, part of why Jose couldn't keep those hands going, and he got off to a good start in this fight, was, again, in that 6th round, he walks right into that monster left hand Josh has. Ben Davison and Lee Wiley.
And Carsey, you know what I did when he landed that punch?
Oh, yeah.
It was over the mouth.
I mean, he drilled him with that and the left uppercut. And after those 2 knockdowns, the fight was not over. We still had a spirited fight after that, but the fight was over. Josh had the fight won at that point. It reminded me of when you're a team going on the road for a playoff game, and in the first quarter or so, the team's just going to come out with tons of energy, and you're going to have to weather that storm. Or in basketball, you're going to have to weather that early, 20-8 run until you could work yourself. And that's what Josh Taylor did. Is those Mexican fans were roaring for, those fans, they don't just cheer, they roar like it's the Roman Coliseum. They want blood, and they thought they were getting it early. And Josh weathered the storm, and I think in the first 10 seconds of the 6th, he just drilled him, walked him right into a left hand. And what, I picked this fight incorrectly. I had Ramirez winning. He did a lot of the things I thought he could do, but he got beat by a better fighter, a better man that night. But as the whole thing was, as I was heading into Saturday night, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm picking Ramirez at this point, because everything in the mental warfare pointed to Taylor. It was, I know Bernard Hopkins might have been sitting somewhere appreciating it, because Josh Taylor's mental warfare was perfect. Ramirez he told us after the press conference, I guess he's not a gentleman. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I think he may be a gentleman. It's fight time. And he's not he wasn't obliging Ramirez, hey, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. We both train. No.
Right.
I'm coming here to fuck you up, and I'm going to win this fight.
Right.
And that carried into the ring. Even there was foreshadowing in the 4th round. There was a time Ramirez got hit in the back of the head, and he looks at the ref, and Josh jumped right on him.
Yeah.
And that was indicative of the difference in mentality all night. Josh was going to take every shot he could get. Ben Davison said he's a spiteful fighter. He was more spiteful than Jose Ramirez. So, from the movement, everything he did with his left hand was beautiful. Sometimes he'd sweep it to the body. And it wasn't like he threw an authoritative jab. He did enough with his front hand to get the distance all the time and walk him into the left hand or measure it. But the main takeaway for me was, man, I should have seen this coming with Josh's mental game was just so on point, man. And nothing but credit to him.
That first knockdown reminded me a little bit of Floyd and Ricky Hatton with the little check hook, and then Ricky Hatton fell into the corner. Obviously a less powerful and like monumental moment, but it just reminded me of that where it's like you're just like a little kid. You're like, come on.
And the second knockdown reminded me of Mayweather Gotti when Floyd for a moment had his hand on Gotti's head, and then Gotti looks up to complain at the ref, and boom, he gets nailed. And protect yourself at all times.
Right.
Shout out to Victor Ortiz, wherever you're at.
And
Ortiz too, right? Ortiz and Gotti,
And what do we do about Mr. Kenny Bayless?
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been let down by Kenny Bayless, but I was let down by him just the other night, just last night.
He was in the action, man.
So he's an opportunist. He gave both guys tough moments.
So like when I watched it last night and the fight was over, I was like, boom, there it is. We always educate our audience, and I hope the fighters are starting to pick up on this show and watch it more, because I feel like we normally get something in there for the fighters, but I got something for the fighters tonight. And I'm not telling you to study your referees. However, you got to know who's in the ring with you. And I'm speaking from experience, because this is what happened to me. I had my first championship fight, IBF title in New York against Devin Alexander, 2013. And I got Harvey Dock in the ring with me. Harvey is like 6'5", 6'6". He's a big dude, and he's very commanding in the ring. He's gonna let you fight, but he's always gonna let you know when you did something wrong. He's gonna break up the action. He's a really good referee, and I paid attention to him ever since 2013, because he did something during the entire fight that bothered me that I had never experienced before. Every time Harvey Dock would break us, he would say break. he would push us apart, right? And y'all know me, like I'm right back, right? So I mean, he pushed us, and my hand, like his hand is like just on my chest. And of course, like once you push back, here I come, and he would push again every single time. I'm not exaggerating. Every single time that he broke us apart. And if you imagine, like through the course of 12 rounds, that's energy. And I never like clicked to me that every time he breaks us apart, I'm going to push forward, and I'm just going to get this force on me again and get pushed back some more. It bothered me the entire night. I had never experienced that before. And after that moment, 2013, after that moment, I was like, I need to know who's going to be in the ring with me, because depending on who's in the ring with me, I'm going to know like how they move around, what they like to do, how they like to break away. I think I might have had Harvey once more after that fight. And y'all know when he said back up, I would back up and
duck under.
Bounce. I would bounce and wait for him to say fight, because I didn't want him to push me. I didn't like it, you know? And so just using that story to let fighters know, no, I'm not saying watch fight after fight of referees that are going to be in the fight that you're going to be doing. But once you get the call who the judges and who the referees are, normally it's the night before the fight. You may get it depending on what level you're at. You may get it sooner than that. Definitely when you're on TV, you should know who's in the ring with you. Just watch one fight and you'll know how they move around. And I know this about Kenny. Kenny moves around the rings with his hands up. Not like a fighter, but he moves because he's ready to touch.
Yeah.
He's ready to just do a little pat here and there, bring an arm down, all that kind of stuff. And it made me mad because I thought Kenny was a little more involved than he needed to be last night. I thought that he was breaking pretty fast. And then maybe after 2 or 3 rounds, Dre and Tim both started to say it. And I was like, I'm yelling at the ring, at the TV. Like, yeah, can he get out of the way? There's no excuse. Protect yourself at all times. But we all see at that moment where he touches Jose, he gets Jose's attention. And that's a problem. You can't get, it's like you being in war and somebody said, hey man, you like, you know what I mean? Like, This is not the right time to do this. You know what I mean? And Kenny touches his shoulder enough for him to get his attention. And It kind of was like, that's how that first knockdown, that's what led to the first knockdown.
Second one.
And was that the second? Yeah, it was the
first
second
one was the pull counter.
Yeah, the first, and that's what led to the second knockdown. I'm not saying that Kenny was all the way like, hey, the knockdown should not have been scored a knockdown because Kenny Bayless is the one that initiated it. However, I do think that Kenny did a poor job last night of really managing the fight from the opening bell. I think that he was a little too involved, and then I think that I like referees that just pull the arm down and all that kind of stuff. But when you're breaking that much, and then you decide to touch a shoulder or something like that, it really just got Jose's attention. And that was the worst thing that could have happened in that moment for Jose. I swear to God, like the 7th round, I almost turned the TV off. And I was like, I can't turn the TV off, but I was that mad at Kenny Bayless. I almost turned the TV off.
It's one of those things. I mean, it goes across sports, but boxing is obviously included in that. The less you notice the referee or the official, the better. Like if I'm watching a boxing match, I shouldn't even know who's officiating it. Like just do enough to get the fight. Obviously, make sure the rules are enforced. Same thing with any sport. Like I don't want to see a lot of flags in the NFL or a lot of fouls in the NBA. So I think the fact that everyone is noticing you is never a good thing in boxing. Yeah. Nobody's ever like, man, that ref was so involved. I'm so glad he was involved the entire fight. Like it was just too much. Like you said, I don't think it caused the knockdown. It definitely factored into it. But,
And also the other problem that I had with Kenny was after both knockdowns, I just thought that he was in the way too long.
Too long. He had Ramirez walk into this corner. He said, hit me with a little 2-step. Then he was like, oh, okay. And Taylor's like, dude, like, can I jump on this guy real quick?
Yeah. Let me back up a little bit.
Drop him. I gotta give him an extra 10 seconds.
Let me go back to Mr. Bayless because he's a great guy first of all, and then he's really is an excellent referee. He refs the same way every time. So any fighter out there, again, just especially when you're on the TV level, don't think that I'm saying that you can be fighting down in Mississippi in a 4-rounder and you should be able to see who's reffing your fight and you'll know what to do. But watch some of these big time referees because the big time referees, they ref the big time fights. And when you see how they move and how they get down in the ring, you'll know what to expect. So a guy like, again, we're going back to Kenny just touching Mr. Bayless, just touching Jose on the shoulder. But if Jose knew who he had in the ring, he would know that he's just going to be there. He's just going to be there, but it's nothing real. But last night, when you're breaking as quick as you're breaking, you can't then come in and just touch the shoulder and expect both fighters to just keep doing what they're doing, So I just think that he was very consistent with getting in there too fast. And then I think that inconsistency came at the wrong time and Jose paid for it. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of hardcore people like protect yourself at all times. It's just one of them things, you know what I mean? Just one of them things. Great punch though. No doubt
about that. Yeah, you see your opportunity.
Great punch by Josh. Yeah. Oh, and the other part about this fight, real quick, is we saw the classic Orthodox versus Southpaw type of fight. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of like at the essence of Southpaw and the Orthodox fighter, where you got both guys kind of vowing for a position, and whoever throws first is going to land first kind of fight. And I really liked the fight last night.
No doubt about it.
Josh outdid him in that. He outdid him in that dance that a Southpaw and an Orthodox guy do. Yeah, he took away his jab. Ramirez stopped jabbing after he got dropped.
Yeah,
he wasn't able to step in and set up his combinations as much. And then because Josh got his respect.
And the last thing I'll say is I didn't think that Josh looked uncomfortable. Jose looked uncomfortable with the Southpaw, and I didn't think that Josh looked uncomfortable with the Orthodox fighter. A lot of times, the Orthodox fighter usually seems or looks a little a little uncomfortable. Isn't really working the combinations the way you see, the little bit of the hesitation and all that. I didn't really see that from Jose. I just think that Jose just kind of got caught up in the moment with trying to figure out the pace and trying to figure out exactly what to do. I think his mind might have been moving just a little too fast. And I think that Josh was like, right exactly where he needed to be. Shout out to Josh Taylor.
Yeah, no doubt. I've one, not criticism, but I guess skepticism so he, towards the end of the fight, is like he's losing a lot of those rounds. Like he's not.
You thought Josh was losing?
Yeah, he just wasn't very active, and Jose seemed like after those knockdowns he starts to really kind of get his juice going again. And so I'm kind of like it's weird. And so afterwards they ask him like, did you like kind of take a break? Were you conserving energy? And he was like, no, I just he kind of acted like it was just regular strategy. There was nothing different about that. Yeah. And I was like, did you think it looked like he kind of took some of those rounds off? Because it looked like it to me.
It did. It looked like he took some rounds off. I heard the commentator say, looked like he was getting ready for the championship rounds.
Yeah.
So I did kind of buy into that, but I think that I'm not really sure what that's about. Like why you don't work continue to work what's working,
Yeah.
But it did look like
he just acted like it was. I just was wanting to use his aggression, and I was like, "But you did that the whole fight, but you were more active. These rounds you just weren't. You just
he
let him
was
get off
like
more."
Kind of nonchalant in some rounds here and there. I just saw that our good buddy Shawn Zittel is gone.
Oh yeah, you didn't catch that? Yeah, all of a sudden I felt like he just disappeared. All right,
don't miss him. Let's move forward.
Yeah, he gone. But I thought it was just kind of interesting. He didn't seem to have his foot on the gas, which, I mean, if that's the only complaint, you still won the fight. I can't be too critical of that.
Minus the knockdowns, how close did you have to fight?
So I was proud of myself. 114, 112. I had it right on the money.
Oh, okay. So
I had let me see. I had
all three judges had it 114, 112?
Yeah, all of them had it the same. So I had it 6-6.
6-6 minus the 2 knock
minus the with the 2 10-8 rounds. But so no, I thought it was really close. I thought Taylor was. I knew once he got the knockdowns, it would have taken some very poor judging. I mean, which isn't out of the question, but for him not to get that result. But I thought he was playing with fire a little bit. Like that's why I brought up that he kind of took some of the rounds off. Because I was like, you have the knockdowns, but I don't have you winning this by that comfortable of a margin where you can just take these rounds off and it's inconsequential. But
playing with fire. Exactly.
I'm back.
Yeah, there he is.
Welcome. Perfect timing. So Taylor gets the win. He has all of the belts. At 140. What is next for him? I don't know. What's next for him, Shawn?
Feel free to comment on the visual. Is that what you're going to say with all the belts? Because that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like Shabba ranks.
What does that mean?
All kinds of jewelry on.
He said it's like Shabba ranks. Shabba.
But talking options, right, for Josh. I mean, the 2 fights everyone's going to think of for him are Teofimo moving up from lightweight and then him moving up to fight Terrence Crawford at welterweight. The interesting thing about both those fights with Crawford is Crawford was a lightweight at one point himself. So it's not like he's moving up to welterweight and facing a guy that is, the physical dimensions are pretty similar. He's actually taller than Crawford. They got the same reach about. And so, him moving up to face Crawford, it's like, well, it's not like he's moving up to face a guy who's really that much natural.
Yeah.
Right. Like if he's fighting Errol Spence, there's a serious physicality there difference. Errol is just a stronger guy. He's but with Terrence, maybe not as much. I mean, obviously, I think I'm going to speak for all of us. I think we'd all pick Terrence Crawford to beat Josh Taylor.
I think somewhat.
He said, I
said yesterday, I think somewhat comfortably.
Right.
And that's that close to the fight.
That's because it's Bud.
Yeah.
But and then for Teofimo, the thing that intrigues me about Teofimo, and I still do want to see the Crawford-Taylor fight, especially if Crawford can't get Shawn and Errol. And,
he can.
Yeah, right. There was attempts to make it happen. That's damn sure. So, but for whatever reason, if he's not going to fight those fights, then fight Josh Taylor. But for the Teofimo fight, Teofimo, I think he's more naturally a counterpuncher. He's like Canelo was at his age, where he likes to kind of stand his ground and not maybe let the fight come to him, but he's not selling out to get inside. And so against Taylor, who has length and speed and some movement, I'd like to see Teofimo have to, instead of sitting back, being the counterpuncher like he was with Loma, have to put those gloves up and cut distance against Josh Taylor. So, but apparently Josh Taylor wasn't hearing it. He feels like basically that Teofimo has to fight who's fighting this Saturday, Devin Haney. He's got unfinished business with him first. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Josh's two biggest options. We know he confirmed with us that he's fighting Jack Catterall next.
Is that a mandatory fight?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Now he's got 75 mandatories with all these belts. He can have 5 years of mandatories. But yeah, I don't want to say I wouldn't be overly interested in Taylor Crawford, but it's just like they kept talking about that, and I was like, I get it, we're watching ESPN, but like it's okay. Yeah. Like I don't know. It's just I doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of weird how, depending on where somebody is in their career, how much you're willing to buy certain fights. So this dude's got like 5 belts, like, and you're kind of like, him and Terrence, that's okay.
That's cool.
Terrence and Errol, yeah, let's do it. Terrence and Shawn, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Terrence and Keith, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think from even from a Bud perspective, so the criticism of Terrence Crawford, you haven't beat somebody legitimate at welterweight. Oh, beat the guy who's coming up from 140. How does that doesn't answer that question. It does the opposite. Then you're fighting another guy that's the small guy that's coming up. So it just doesn't really answer any of the questions for me. But
that's like one of the most annoying things I hear about Terrence Crawford, though, that he hasn't fought a true welterweight. And the reason why, and I'm going to clear this up, or hopefully clear this up, but the reason why is because most times the guy fighting in a certain weight class, they normally are about 15 to 20 pounds higher than that weight, typically, just on an average day. Once they get into camp, they're definitely 15 pounds. If you're doing the way it's supposed to be done, you're 15, maybe 16 to 17 pounds through camp. And then as you taper off in camp, you're going back to that 10 pound, 5 pound week of you're 3 pounds away, week of the fight type of thing. And so Terrence, again, if you say, hey, he fought at 135, do the math. He was probably walking around at 150, cutting down to 135. Now at 140, he was probably walking around at 155, 160. Now you do the math, 147, he's probably walking around 170. Right. The thing about it is, you see every fight that he's had, and no fight that he's had, you didn't see explosiveness. He didn't lack power in any fight that he's had at 135, 140, and then now at 147. However, everybody wants to say he hasn't fought a true 147-pound fighter. And my thing is, if anything, he's grown into his weight classes, opposed to other guys who cut down to get into the weight classes. He's grown into the weight. And so I just don't really buy that. Well, what's he going to do with a true 147-pound fighter? Probably the same thing he's done with the 140s and the 135s. He
was a real 147-pound fighter. And you could always debate that he won that Pacquiao fight. I thought there's a good chance he did. Like,
who?
So Jeff Horn. I mean, we could joke about a Jeff Horn, but Jeff Horn,
I forgot that
with Manny Pacquiao. You could argue he deserved the decision, and Terrence whipped his ass coming off that. So
I guess I feel completely different when you ask me, but
I could tell by your facial expressions. I'm just saying, like, if you do
I get what you're saying, that it's not like there's levels to it weight wise, but like I guess it's not it's not the weight that's the issue.
Oh, my bad.
It's the establishment in that division. I think is the fans' concern. It's not he's fighting a guy that naturally is 160 and he's coming down to 47.
That's what I was trying to say.
You're not fighting anyone that's been established as a top guy at welterweight. That's the issue. Is you're not fighting one of those guys. But real quick before we can kind of stay on welterweight, you mentioned Devin Haney fights Linares this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how to feel about this one. Could it be another stinker like the Gamboa fight was?
No. I know how I feel about this one, Carson.
No, this ain't gonna be a stinker.
No?
Haney by knockout.
Think so?
Yeah, Haney by knockout.
Oh man.
Look, I'm sure he's heard everyone rightfully talking about his lackluster performance, not only against Gamboa, but you could argue against Santiago, even though he dropped him. But, Devin, he hurt his hand heading into that Gamboa fight. And people don't want to hear that stuff for good reason. And Devin didn't talk about it very much. He didn't make a lot of excuses about it. But got to see him in sparring last month or so ago, and the right hand is healthy. And he's throwing it beautifully. I think he does have power, and he's going to show he does have power in this fight when he wins by knockout. I just think with Linares, it's going to be two fast, talented guys, and one guy with so much more technical ability, technical tricks and tools of the trade in Devin. And they're going to start off, like this, and then Devin's just going to ascend further and further as the rounds go by. That jab's going to be killer, and he's going to kill him with the jab, and at some point get his distance with the right hand. And I think he'll punch with Linares, and I think he'll knock him out at some point with that right hand.
I think he blows him out scorecard wise. I just don't, and it could obviously factoring in the injured hand. It just wasn't there like that. Just like, I'm gonna drop you. Like Gamboa was like, please drop me, and he was like, no, please, I insist. I just didn't see like this killer instinct to like really lay Linares out that I think that is gonna happen. And Linares a little bit as well. Like, I don't know how much credit do you give Devin for this win? Not to say that it's not gonna be another. If we always talk about it. Progression. I think this is another step, but like, didn't Linares get knocked down like 4 times in the first round, like a couple fights ago?
I know. Yeah.
But like, so I mean, in fairness,
if you're in Devin's favor, you say, look at all the credit Ryan Garcia got for knocking out Luke Campbell, and I'm fighting a guy that dropped and beat Luke Campbell.
Yeah, true.
But what you're
dropped Lomachenko as well. So I mean, it's not like Linares is a bum. I'm not making that to seem like that.
But Cano came after those fights, not before.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think Devin Haney, man, could be number 1 pound for pound one day. Yeah, I really do.
I'm not gonna say that.
Well, I'll go out on a limb, man.
I like it. I like it, and I like the kid.
Of a young Floyd.
I think Linares is gonna push him some rounds. I think Linares is gonna really test him. I do see Devin winning this fight. If he wins by knockout, I think it's gonna be like that flash and that pizzazz that people have been talking about as it pertains to Devin Haney for some time now. I think everybody's really been talking him up. It's been a lot of hype, and I think in his last 2 fights, I don't really think he's lived up to that type of hype. But I think we may see it in this fight because this is a great, not only a great matchup, but it's a great style for him. He's a counterpuncher first. He can be first, but his reflexes take him back on his back foot and then forward. He's not really a guy that goes forward. He's more back, one step and a half, finds his distance, and then boom, he comes right back. And so I think that this is prime meat for him in Linares. However, Linares is powerful. Linares is a grown ass man, and I definitely don't think it's going to be a stinker, but I think that it's going to go some rounds. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah. I think Devin is extremely talented, and I think he wins. I don't think there's even a question that he wins. I think he blows him out. I don't see like that. I just don't see a knockout, I guess, but should be a fun fight. Shout out to Shane Mosley Jr. fighting on the undercard.
Yes, sir.
Quigley. Very good fight.
Quigley,
we need him to win this one, man.
Yeah, and then come on the show.
We need him to win this one.
Yeah, but no, it should be a good one. But so mention going back to welterweight. So the news of the week.
Yeah.
Boxing news of the week because there was a lot of it.
A lot of it, man. Listen, I was woo, let's go.
That was
where do I fit in? That's
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was so we got Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao coming up this summer. Go ahead. I didn't see that. I could be a naive boob, but I didn't see that that didn't factor in on my register at all.
Me neither.
Like that was not on my radar, and all of a sudden they were just like, "Wow, here it is." I was like,
"Yeah, just throw it at you."
Yeah,
just throw it at you. Yeah, great fight.
Absolutely.
I don't want to preview it too much right now, but
yeah, we'll go into depth closer.
My
to time.
initial thoughts is the timing. Is this great timing for Manny Pacquiao, or is this great timing for Errol Spence Jr.? That's what I'll leave you with for now. But that's the only thing that comes to my mind is who is this on time for?
So how does this factor in, obviously, with you? Because now
I made some phone calls.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, because remember I said I was gonna fight in July.
Yeah,
and then I saw this. I was like, Carl, I said I need to talk to you ASAP. You know, hit my dad up.
Because now it takes, and I think I mentioned the funniest thing to me, or one of the funny intricacies of this is, so Errol wants to unify 147. Pacquiao had that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Pacquiao is moved to champion of recess, playing dodgeball and foursquare and all that. Ugas elevated to the title holder. So he gets escalated to I will smoke you in tetherball.
Hey, you think I'm the only world champion that goes down the slide?
No, I think there's world champions that go down the slide.
Going down the slides with the kids.
Yeah, no, you're a great father
right here on the arm, same spot every time.
But so then Ugas gets the belt, and then Errol, it's like, oh, that makes sense. I want to unify. Ugas right here, he got a belt now. Mm-hmm. Now you're fighting the guy who no longer has the belt, and you take the fight. If you're Errol, you take the fight, no question.
Let's just do this, and it is what it is. WBA messed up, so that's their fault,
per usual.
Because what's going to happen is you're a champion in recess, which means once I come back into the school, I'm back to work, you know. And so he's back to work. He's back to becoming to being the champion. It's no secret Manny Pacquiao doesn't need a belt. However, you're gonna give him the belt, and you want to be seen, and you want to be seen on the biggest stage. Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. is no bigger stage out there.
The Manny Pacquiao money or 3% of your Dennis Ugas money?
Say what?
You want 3% of Manny Pacquiao money, or do you want 3%?
Exactly, exactly. So I'm sorry, Ugas.
No, I mean you're not crazy for that.
You got
but so Errol. Now you can get that belt, which is great. I think Errol wins comfortably, but I think Pacquiao, I love him. God love him. Beat Keith, but I think Errol, that's a different dog right now.
I don't want to say too much right now. But
we'll definitely get
I swear to God, I'm still like trying to put everything together.
So going off that with you though, does that put Ugas in play for you, perhaps? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, I made some phone calls to say the least. So
because now everything is on the table by this fight happening. Now it's like, and to go back to Bud, and I won't say too much about Bob Arum. I know, God, I'm sure he's a great guy, great family man, whatever.
Watch your mouth, Carson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a businessman and as just a person, I have qualms with him. But like,
be careful because he could get us canceled.
Yeah, fair. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just think he makes the comment about a fight with you and Terrence Crawford, and he's just like, yeah, but who pays for that? It's like, if you mean who buys the fight on a pay-per-view, people buy Shawn Porter, Terrence Crawford on pay-per-view. They do. I'm sorry if you have your thoughts tell you otherwise, but that happens. Yeah. So I don't know. He's just kind of frustrating. But for Bud, I think he might be the one that's kind of F the most.
Yeah.
Because now you're really sitting there like, well, so I'm looking for a signature win at 147, and two guys I really wanted to fight allegedly
are fighting each other now.
And you just got to sit there looking silly.
Yeah.
That's why if all you got, you try to get the Josh Taylor fight, even though what you said is going to be said. Oh, well, he's still a 140-pound guy, moving up. But, at least, again, it's two guys who moved up. But, on to for the Manny fight, though. If he can my thing with this fight, if Pacquiao can show up in the same form he did for Keith Thurman, then, like, we got to fight. Then we got to fight. We got a real fight on our hands, and I know you got, it doesn't sound like we should get too deep into it tonight, but Tim Bradley.
I will say that we got a real fight on our hands. I'm not siding with Carson on Errol Spence winning comfortably. I think we got a fight on our hands.
I'm not saying Errol Spence is going to blow Pacquiao 1-12, but I just think he's got too much right now.
I'm very interested to see what happens in this fight. Wasn't thinking about this fight at all, but seeing it be announced, I'm really interested to see what happens.
This is kind of like the way we talked about Taylor Ramirez, where you're just like, there's no way it's not fun to watch. You can't tell me there's an Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao fight that's not going to be fun as hell to watch between both of them. You put either of those guys in with somebody and it's fun. You put them together, it's going to be next level. But no, it should be interesting. Then the last kind of to close up, last big.
I love being a boxing fan along with being a fighter.
Yeah,
it's like I get to enjoy both worlds. You know what I mean? Like I'm open. I'll tell you who I think is gonna win, how they win, blah 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 blah.
Not always, but go ahead.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like I'll break down the fight, whatever. I'll break down the fight, but I just love that I get to be a boxing fan and enjoy this. Like I don't stay tight. Like I don't want to talk about this because it's the welterweight division. Like I don't give a damn. Like this is a great fight. Unfortunately, it's not me, but it's a great fight, and I can't wait for it. So
even more that we get to talk about it and cover it, and that we get to be a part of it all.
And it's out here, which is great. And then
they're doing it out here.
Yeah, so it'll be out here. And then, that I don't know. I don't think they named the venue yet. They said Las Vegas, but fight that is going to be at Allegiant, which is going to the last point. Deontay Wilder wins the arbitration, gets the fight. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. First off, let me say this. I'm very happy for Deontay Wilder that he's getting the fight.
Did you know he was in arbitration for this fight?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know a lot of boxing people were just so sold on Joshua and
pat myself on the back when we talked about that last week, and I said I won't believe that fight's happening until they're in the ring. It ain't happening. So I'll let your boy. But with the I'm happy Deontay got the fight. If you win an arbitration based on that, you were justified in getting the fight. So I'm happy on that behalf. And I would like to see Deontay win. I think I would love to see it.
USA all the way, Carson?
No, not even that. I just think I've been critical of Deontay just not evolving as much as a fighter as I would like to see. But just as a guy, I think the narrative has gotten too silly. It's been like Tyson Fury kills him. He's destroyed him that fight. Like, did he win most of the rounds the first fight? Absolutely. But he also, if he gets up a second later, he gets knocked out. So it's like, he could have got knocked out that fight. Wins the second fight decisively. Great fight by Tyson Fury. Congratulations. But for people now to be like, I don't even care to see this again. Who cares? Like, Deontay Wilder I said it before, he's got the Thanos snap. He hits you with the right hand, it can be all bad. Shmurda, she wrote. So I don't know. I think people got too down on Deontay after that loss. Mm-hmm. And so now for him, know he's a great guy. Do I believe a lot of the conspiracies? Is what it is. But as a guy, I would like to see him come back and win and then be like, hey, you guys wrote me off a little too soon.
I love the Thanos snap analogy because that's exactly what it is. I'm looking forward to that fight.
Love it.
I love that fight. I love the trilogy because there's just so many storylines. Yes. And that ain't even talking about the conspiracy stuff. I'm talking about just getting in the ring. Both of these dudes, who does what and what happens. How do we have two fights happen and we still don't know what's going to happen in the third fight? That's kind of unheard of. Normally, you know exactly what's going to happen. That happens in every sport. At every sport, once you play a team once or twice, you got a really good understanding of what's going to happen in that third one. And right here, I really don't know what's going to happen, and I love that.
Well, I was just happy that what I was happiest about was the quick turnaround. You know, usually in boxing, there's this long, drawn out process to make a big fight. And it was like, actually, fight's on July 24th.
Yeah.
That's what I was most happy about.
You mean after the court stuff?
He won the arbitration on what, Monday? Wins the arbitration Monday, and then by Saturday night, Tyson Fury signed and Deontay signed.
Right. Like, okay, well, let's get to it then.
Yeah.
And, you know, as it pertains to the conspiracy stuff, I'm usually a conspiracy theorist, so I will not shame conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But
maybe we'll do an episode committed to the conspiracies of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury.
And go ahead, Zittel, because I was going to say, and this also gives Deontay a chance to have everything you mentioned at Shawn in a couple interviews. SP, you mentioned make sure to have your guy like look into this, like have your people like these are the claims you have, like give us some proof. Now you have a third fight where you can say, watch what he puts, if he puts anything in his gloves. Watch my water, put it in one of the damn vaults like Ocean's 11, but probably a more secure one because you know how that movie went. But now you have a chance to, if there was any funny business, I'm not saying if there wasn't. Now you have a chance to none.
My thing with that though, and I hope this gets to Deontay, be careful. And what I mean when I say be careful is we know that you're going to talk about everything that has happened. Now you got the platform, you got the moment to do it. And not only that, everybody's going to want to expose that and talk all about it. But you got to be careful because Tyson Fury is going to come back at you. He's going to throw a lot of snowballs, and then he's going to sit there underneath that mound and just let you start throwing back. And he's going to sit there. He's going to eat a sandwich, and he's going to enjoy you missing all of those darts trying to hit him, all of those snowballs trying to hit him, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got to get back in the ring and you got to do what everybody in America wants you to do, and that's become a heavyweight champion again. So I get it. It's going to happen. I love to hear it. I love to see more in-depth detail, and I love to see, where the evidence is, so on and so forth. But be careful. Don't put too much energy into that because you still got to fight on fight night.
Look forward, don't look back.
Yes, sir.
And
I'd rather him even have the this is what it is, boom,
and be done with it.
And be done with it. Yep.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I think that probably would be the best strategy. Have maybe if it's at a press conference or anything, say, hey, this is what I think happened, this, and this, and just be done. Say, I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm gonna fight him July 24th. That's it.
D is a man of words, and he's a very prideful man, and so I know that he's gonna do a little bit more than what we're saying right now. I think what we're saying really does make sense, but also it makes sense for him to do it the way that he's gonna do it because that sells the fight,
and it makes sense for him.
It makes sense for him.
Yeah, he's like you said, he likes to talk. I love that about him. But
off and on switch.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun though. So
I love this week, by the way. This was like a cool week of boxing for me, from like the perspective of knowing what's coming, TV wise and fight wise, and then I think I was able to kind of get some things started for myself. So I'm in Florida training now. So
pulling up on Keith Thurman tomorrow.
I thought about it. I did think about it.
Shawn Porter pulls up on Keith Thurman.
Allegedly.
We shall see.
Fight of the year rematch.
We shall see. Yeah.
But what I was saying as it pertained to that conspiracy stuff was, what, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but what will be interesting afterwards is if Wilder were to turn the tables, even if it were true or not, it would validate a lot of those theories, and it would, for a lot of people, all of a sudden taint Fury's second win.
Very true.
Vice versa, if Tyson can just do to him what he did in the second fight, then it'll have really made his point that not only did I beat you, but I put up with all that bullshit, and then I want, and I proved my point once again, kind of like Arguello and Pryor. When he beat him down 4 or 5 rounds earlier than he did the first fight, and he's like, no bottle, no mix this time. And just like, I think I said this when we talked about the fight last year in one of the first shows you guys did. And that was, Wilder Fury 3, just right away. One fight that comes to mind is Jermaine Taylor's rematch with Kelly Pavlik, where Jermaine Taylor went back to the drawing board and he improved enough to make the second fight competitive, but he's still not enough to win the fight. And I wonder if that's what we'll get with Wilder and Fury now. If Wilder goes back with Malik Scott and he works on everything, and if he can't win the third fight, he makes it more competitive. We'll see. I know Ben Davison, Leonard Ellerby. I talked to a few people once the fight was made, and Ben Davison, who trained trained Fury for the first Wilder fight, he said he's got to come out for 3 or 4 rounds and just make it me or you. Don't go for the. You got to go out, fight on the front foot, and go for the knockout. And if he does that, then goddamn, we're gonna have our best fight of the 3.
Saying Deontay Wilder's got to come out and yeah. Oh man,
it's gonna be fun, man.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun. When we're talking about the press conferences before we wrap up, it reminded me of when Cotto was fighting Margarito the second time, and they had the iPad. What was it on HBO with Max Kellerman? And he had an iPad, and he's zooming in on the hand wraps, and he's like, "Yeah, right here. If you look right here, this looks like plaster, my friend." Like this was.
And he went on to prove his point in the rematch. And so the great point, Carson, like that's what I mean after this fight. But whether it's fair or not, the outcome is gonna make some people who are into that say, see, he did do it. And then if Wilder gets dominated again, okay, see how silly that all was. And
so I'm hoping if Deontay has bring some fun like visual props to the table, like Cotto, where they hand Cotto on iPad, whatever year that was, and he's like, "Yep, right here." There seems to be something that's not a hand wrap,
and that's all good for pay-per-view sales.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Shawn Porter on the undercard.
I don't know.
We got 2.
I don't know.
Let me close on this last question of the show. Would you be willing or intrigued to fight on the undercard? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Because you mentioned July. They fight in July. You live in Vegas. The fight's in Vegas.
I mentioned that I made some phone calls. So
yeah.
You know what?
I try to say as much as I can say.
Yeah. I'm never going to try to put the heat to you and try to, even though the fans, it's always going to be.
I'm putting the heat to Shawn. Come on now.
Well, I mean, as far as like making him answer, because like last week, Shawn in the show, I know when I fight, and all the comments, like we could have talked about like the moon landing, and they would have been like, "Hey, so who's Shawn fighting? Why didn't you guys talk about who's Shawn?" Like, like I said on the show, I knew you weren't gonna elaborate, so I wasn't gonna press anything for it. But
I don't know, and again, I love that part of it, and you guys know that exactly when I know and who and all that kind of stuff, and I'm allowed to say something, I will. And then anybody wondering, for sure. But anybody saying what you mean allowed to, you're a man. The way that boxing works and the way that I came into this game is you don't say shit until shit needs to be said. So that's how I operate. That's how my team operates. But to say the least, I did make some phone calls. I'm looking forward to the near future, and I am training. I will be ready.
And what's beautiful about that is we always hear fighters and fans. They never are, want to hear you guys out as fighters is I'll fight anybody. It just needs to be right. And so people are hearing you say, Ugas not interested. But now that it makes sense that it's right. You're like, I'm calling people for the rematch. So
hold on, I didn't say that, did I?
No, but Zittel
just made some phone calls.
And he said he made general phone calls. Zitel's like he called AH and said, "Yeah, I want Ugas too."
I was trying to make it a positive thing.
Hey, this whole show, Carson, will end on this. But this whole show, I thought that was a grenade on your hat.
No,
it's a beer.
The hugs.
Oh, the hugs.
Yeah. So it depends on where you're from, because I've heard them called quarter waters.
Never heard that.
York. Fruit barrels.
Never heard that.
That's been mentioned. But it was always just like hugs or little hugs. A delicious drink after any kid sporting event all time.
Y'all have listened to.
Zitel's bringing out. He's got a prop here right now. We got the Knicks tape.
Is that Jalen Rose? Who is that?
We lost, but
is that Amari?
Amari, baby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they lost. Shout out to the Knicks tape. I'm rooting for him.
So,
I am too.
We back.
I am too, but
yeah,
only
I'm rooting
because
for him for sure.
the short man with glasses on the sidelines. Spike Lee.
Spike? That's why you're rooting for the Knicks?
It's something about him, man. I want him. He's got like these just dreams and aspirations. I need them to do it for him.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Reggie Miller put a dent on that.
That's his most underrated movie.
And who? Which one?
25th Hour. Great movie. His most underrated movie.
25th Hour. I gotta check that.
Yeah. For our movie buffs out there.
Yeah. All right, yeah. We're gonna come back next week and talk about the 25th Hour. Yo, listen, this is the Port Away Podcast, hiccup free. God bless that. And,
how about that?
God bless y'all.
The whole story and a disclaimer for nothing.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
I feel it coming though. Listen, compliments of Starbucks.
Allegedly.
Future sponsor. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Don't tell me you didn't enjoy what you saw, because I know you did. What you need to do now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit that notification button. Check us out every week, every Tuesday. Something new for you right here on the Port Away Podcast.